Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. I'm monitoring the stream, and it doesn't seem to be streaming properly. Oh boy. All right, well, now it is. Today is June 14th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 166. That's because this is a time machine episode. Mayor Watt had other duties necessary to be completed yesterday, and so I am in the time machine today. In reality is 6:15, but again, time machine episode, so I'm gonna hurry and get through all of this so that we can get prepared for the news on the weekend. We have 10 articles all set up. Oh, and I'm gonna tease, there might be a name change taking place. Instead of this thing being called ohmTown Daily News Show, it might just change here in the near future. It'll still be ohmTown.com, but the news show is going to change a little bit, just because of the nature of what it is. So the very first article is over here in Hatch Ideas. It's about business, so we try to keep a lot of business stuff in the Hatch Ideas channel, which is about business transformation, a subset of what I do. So outside of being mayor of ohmTown. Mouse Jigglers pretending to work fired by bank. You know, if you're a mouse jiggler, it seems like it would be a drink or something like that. Wells Fargo has fired a number of workers after reviewing claims of fake keyboard activity. Yeah, if you're going to be a fake keyboard user, well, you should make sure that your artificial intelligence is wiggling your mouse around. I think it's more creepy as hell that you're being monitored to that degree. If you still get your shit done, you know, honestly, if you're going to sit there and monitor people, assign them work. And if they get their work done, then that's what their salary is. You know, does that not make sense to people? Just because you get, if I work for you for 8 hours and the amount of work that I do covers 8 hours a day, then that's what you pay me. But if I do 2 people's work, then you had better pay me twice as much. If I'm fast, effective, efficient, capable of doing more work, then pay me more. Just because I'm good at my job doesn't mean that you can or should be able to abuse me and my ability to work. So, honestly, I don't know the context of this, other than people are using mouse jigglers. These things have been around for decades. And so I'm not surprised that somebody might use them, but being fired for it is kind of dystopian bullshit. Natalie Sherman over at BBC.com put this article together. U.S. banking giant Wells Fargo has sacked a number of employees following claims that staff were faking keyboard activity to fool the company into thinking they were working when they are not. It's not yet clear how the issue was discovered or whether it was specifically related to people working from home. The U.S. bank said staff had been fired or resigned after reviewing allegations involving simulation of keyboard activity, creating impression of work, active work. But again, if I do the work that's assigned to me and it takes me 4 hours a day instead of 8 hours, that's what you're frickin' paying me for. Not 8 hours worth of work and you can just keep piling shit on me. Meanwhile, Mary in accounting is doing half the frickin' work that I'm doing and the level of productivity. Yeah, give me a break. Not just the level of productivity, but the work assigned, right? I don't know. It's frustrating to me because I think that you should get compensated on your merit, on the amount of work that you do, on the amount of benefit that you are. I shouldn't have to bust my hump for 10 years and then suddenly I land on some superior's radar and they go, oh yeah, let's give them a chance to be, you know. And I've actually had somebody say that to me. Hey, we gave you a chance to, kiss my ass. Anyway. New rules recently came into effect in the U.S., which mean that brokers working from home must be inspected every three years. But I'm not even sure. I have to go and look up what the scope of that is. A spokesperson for the firm said Wells Fargo holds employees to the highest standards and does not tolerate unethical behavior. Okay, really. Let's see. Wells Fargo mortgage, financial collapse, ethics. Let's see. Wells Fargo fraud, ethics unwrapped, universityoftexas.edu link. What is the Wells Fargo financial ethics? Oh, am I getting distracted? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Let's move on. The next article is over in the Law Nerd channel. Ex-IT employee allegedly stole $70,000 from law school to fund his band. Today, I skipped over a bunch of stuff. I wanted to get right into the articles. So I kind of fumbled this. Normally I have an intro, I introduce who I am and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to just get into the news today for this time machine, but later today I'll do it the standard way. I actually named each one of the articles that we're talking about. Like the first one is actually just titled Mouse Jigglers, which I think is just hilarious. It's like a Jello brand, gelatin type of Jello, but this is for, I guess, I don't know, unethical working at home, but that's all bullshit too. Anyway, Mouse Jigglers, and then this is Judgment is a great band name. I think that one is pretty cool. So I wonder what his name, the name of the band was. Ex-IT employee allegedly stole $70,000 from law school to fund his band. He claimed that he was testing the music equipment he bought without permission and even returned some of it to the law school. The link is over at Above the Law. Stacy Zaretsky put the article together. Yeah, so Gareth Flanagan, 52, formerly of New England Law, Boston, stands accused of stealing tens of thousands of dollars from the school's Amazon account. He allegedly did this between 2020 and 2022, taking a total of about $68,000, according to authorities. Flanagan used the account to purchase music equipment for his band, Sloth Machine, which I suppose is almost on the nose. He admitted to the unauthorized purchases after being confronted by an external auditor for the school, claiming he was testing the equipment. Almost ended up in jail, $1,000 bail. Flanagan was released in order to stay away from the school. And now there's a jury trial. This guy could end up in jail because of their love for music. They're just misunderstood, really. The next article is over in Hatch Ideas. FAA investigates counterfeit titanium used in some Boeing. I always want to say Boeing. Boeing and Airbus jets, which really sucks it. I just titled this one Counterfeit Titanium. If you type in !ODNS, it'll pull up all of the links. The ohmTown will display that in the chat, and if you hit !pod, it'll display all of the podcasts that come out of ohmTown. Again, ohmTown Daily News Show is probably going to change its name, so stay tuned for that. You'll know it when it happens, folks. Just keep in mind how I do the news here in ohmTown. So this FAA investigation, the U.S. FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, is investigating falsified documents that were used to verify authenticity of titanium used in some recently manufactured Boeing and Airbus jets, according to the New York Times. That was reported on Friday. The documents are also being investigated by Spirit Aerosystems, which supplies fuselages for Boeing and wings for Airbus, according to the report. Jeez. Though, for some reason, I heard recently something about fake titanium. But this was like not a day ago. This was a while ago. So I'm going to have to do some due diligence and maybe I can find, because right now all of the news is stacked really like against us here. 2022 maybe. I swear I'd heard about this a long time ago. But for it to land so close to home, it was basically, yeah, there it is. Oh, it was. No way. It really is. Okay. I swear I've heard about this way before this investigation was announced. Because I had heard that there was fake Chinese titanium suddenly in the system. And obviously, if it isn't verified, you're going to run into some problems. So, yeah, titanium alloys. Yeah, 2 years ago. There we go. Titanium alloys from sketchy Chinese companies. That's where I heard about it. So, okay. Yeah, quite fascinating. And then there's, I mean, over the years, it's popped up apparently from time to time. Back in 2022, there was a statement from Real Clear Defense, an article titled "The Dangers of U.S. Reliance on Russian Titanium." And there's some problems with titanium, certain things with titanium. If it gets contaminated with a certain type of metal, it can actually, over time, destroy the integrity of it. Well, anyway, this article is over at The Guardian. Investigation comes after parts supplier found small holes in material used in manufacturing of jets from corrosion, which this might actually be the impurities that I'm talking about. And it's not really impurities. It's caused by mercury being applied to the titanium. It penetrates at the atomic level and decomposes titanium. So the article is by who? I don't know. It just says Reuters, I guess. So the titanium, an important component in the aerospace supply chain, with no shit news in the time machine, I suppose, is used to make landing gears. How about landing gear? Blades, turbine discs for aircraft, and other things. The investigation comes after a part supplier found small holes in the material, and maybe it's aluminum that I'm thinking of. Maybe it's aluminum. I might be wrong. I'll have to, let me look into that. Let me see. Yeah, I'm sorry. It might be aluminum. Not titanium. I think it's aluminum that decomposes with mercury. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll have to verify. So don't hold me to that. Anyway, last year, jet manufacturer CFM International disclosed that thousands of its engine components might have been sold with falsified documentation by a British distributor. The discovery had prompted airlines to change parts on a handful of planes. A senator said that he was launching new congressional oversight inquiry into FAA and Boeing into the FAA. Yeah, okay. After a January mid-air emergency involving a 737 MAX 9, the probe is the latest in a series of investigations by lawmakers since the incident. Senator was the first to probe Boeing safety actions in the 90s. FAA must explain how this happened and what is being done to ensure it does not place the lives of Americans at risk. Yeah, investigate the business, okay? Investigate the business. FAA can only rely on the information that gets provided it, and it can't be constantly investigating. It does certain things, but investigation down paths that don't have any merit is not one of them. So if they're not told of anything, then they don't know about anything, really. And so whistleblowers, why don't we fucking protect pardon my language, why don't we protect the whistleblowers to a greater extent, for crying out loud? We just witnessed a trial where we know that not only the witnesses are being harassed, but the very jury is being harassed. So come on, give me a break. Hell, we just reported about somebody else reporting, actually. But we just talked about yesterday and the day before about a trial where an attorney is being put in jail because they were told about a judge speaking to a witness and prosecution attorneys ex parte, i.e. without the defense being present, which means there's something hinky there. There really is. Anyway, the judge shouldn't be making those determinations. Anyway, on top of all of this, FAA should be investigating this counterfeit titanium, but unless they're told about it, all they get is the information that they are given. It's not Big Brother that you have to worry so much about. It's little sister. So anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Warcrafters channel. Microsoft chickens out of rolling out recall to all Copilot Plus PCs, choosing instead to push the all-seeing AI tool out to Windows insiders first. And if there is one thing that exemplifies monopolistic practices in progress, it's this. I will not be able to pull Copilot out. I will not be able to disable recall entirely. It'll still be doing its shady shit behind the scenes. Next week, we have an interesting time for anyone with a Copilot Plus AI PC. Microsoft had originally planned to give owners of a Snapdragon X-powered laptop a preview version of its AI Nosy Neighbor feature, Recall. But after concerns over security and privacy, that's been scrapped in favor of restricting it to members of the Insider program, which security analysts are all over the Insider program. And I go to great extents to block as much shit going out of my network over to Microsoft because I do not trust hundreds of telemetry data points being exfiltrated constantly from a machine. It's frustrating and it's so hard to tell what's what anymore. So since its announcement last month, the much vaunted recall hasn't been especially well received. That's not especially well received. Those who don't know about it and they don't care. Those who do know about it and are aware of security related issues are losing their freaking mind over little sister monitoring from behind closed doors. I mean, literally in the closet, peering between the shutters to see what you are doing on your computer at all times. And because the session is unencrypted to you, if there is something else that has compromised your system, they have unfettered access. And we don't know what is being exfiltrated out. It's beyond despicable. Beyond despicable. Hold on a second. I need to refresh something. Okay. So let's go over to the source. This is over at PCGamer.com. Nick Evanson put the article together. The deck statement says, so not a total recall of recall then, shame. It almost matches what I said the other day. Because they backed away. And I said, oh, it's a recall of recall. But this isn't really recalling because they were supposed to pull it over cybersecurity privacy concerns. And it says, but even that doesn't seem to have completely allied fears with the PC industry's hopes of flush bank balances bolstered by sales of Copilot Plus PCs. The software giant has changed tack on how the first version of Recall would be released. Initially, all Copilot Plus owners would get it starting June 18th, but that's been dropped in favor of releasing it via the Windows Insider program first. And anybody can really become a member of the Insider program. Quote, we are adjusting the release model for Recall to leverage the expertise of the Windows Insider community to ensure the experience meets our high standards for quality and security. Right. Everything is so freaking secure. That's why cybersecurity industry professionals are making $250,000 a year if they're a skilled hacker. Or more, honestly, depending on how much bounty hunting you do. So yeah, not everybody's going to get it, but eventually it's all going to come to you. Like Copilot was pushed out to everybody, like the U2 album. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. A fully edible robot could soon end up on your plate, say scientists. A fully edible robot could soon end up on your plate if we overcome some technical hurdles, it says. Here in the article snippet says EPFL scientists involved in RoboFood, a project which aims to marry robots and food. So robot food. Got it. Emiliano Farrison from the EPFL put the article together. Robots and food have long been distant worlds. Robots are inorganic, bulky, and non-disposable. Food is organic, soft, and biodegradable. Yet research that develops edible robots has progressed recently and promises positive impacts. Robot food, or robotic food, could reduce electronic waste, help deliver nutrition and medicines to people with animals in need, monitor health, and even pave the way to novel gastronomical experiences. So what the hell is this? Bringing robots and food together is a fascinating challenge, says Dario Floriano, director of the Laboratory of Intelligent Systems at EPFL and first author in the article. In 2021, Floriano joined forces with Remco Boom from Wageningen University, the Netherlands. It might be pronounced something, I guarantee you it's pronounced something entirely different, but anyway, I give it that old Harvard try. I've never been to Harvard. Anyway, Jonathan Rossiter from University of Bristol, UK, and Mario Caironi from the Italian Institute of Technology to launch a project called RoboFood. RoboFood authors analyze which edible ingredients can be used to make edible robot parts and whole robots and discuss the challenges of making them. So I'm not quite sure what all of this ends up being. For example, gelatin can replace rubber, rice cookies are akin to foam, a chocolate film can protect robots in humid environments, and mixing starch and tannin can mimic commercial glues. In 2017, EPFL scientists successfully produced an edible gripper, a gelatin-made structure that could handle an apple and be eaten afterward. This is, what is it? They made stuff out of radishes. Hold on. What is it? It's a puppet. It's a whole, there's a whole thing. Doozers. That's what they're called. Fraggle Rock. Okay, so doozers. This is like doozers. Making stuff out of radish. And they make structures out of radish. In 2023, IIT researchers realized the first rechargeable edible battery using riboflavin, B2, and quercetin found in almonds and capers in the battery poles, adding activated carbon to facilitate electron transport, and nori algae used to wrap sushi to prevent short circuits. Packaged with beeswax, the 4-centimeter wide edible battery can operate at 0.65 volts, still a safe voltage in case of ingestion. 2 edible batteries connected in series can power a light-emitting diode for about 10 minutes. And I guess as long as you use like gold foil, then that can be consumed as well, as long as it is conductive. I've never tried it with edible gold foil. This article actually goes on to talk about this, but apparently researchers are trying to make robotic food. Yeah, and they have a little picture of a lobster or a crayfish or something with various circuits and servos and wires and battery and everything. All right, let's keep going though. We've got a few more articles to go. We got, I think, 5 more or so. A 110-year-old bridge was accidentally blown up after engineers, quote unquote, forgot to get approval. What kind of repercussions are there if you make a mistake at work? Maybe you pump the wrong gas for a driver in New Jersey, shred the wrong screenplay and break a budding writer's heart, or accidentally use soap on the Cybertruck production line, leading to a massive recall. I don't think there was accidental use of soap. I think it was intentional to fix a problem with things not going on as expected, but then it caused problems later on. Anyway, whatever your mistake is, probably not blowing up a bridge you're not supposed to. Owen Bellwood from Jalopnik put the article together. The deck statement says the bridge was illegally blown up earlier this year after workers were given approval to demolish it, but were told not to use dynamite. That's interesting. That would have made me nervous as hell. There's some other structure spanning across behind the one that was blown up. Swiss rail operator Rhaetian Railway faced a dilemma earlier this year after surveys of an old bridge on its line found issues with its supports. For more than 100 years, the I think it's Castilier Viaduct, which carried trains passing across a mountain gorge near Davos, Switzerland. However, the damage was found on the bridge's steel structure proved to be terminal, according to a report from the New Civil Engineer. It's a website. In order to keep trains running through the region, a demolition order was passed for the 110-year-old bridge, and a new span was planned for the area. However, lawmakers in the area and environmental experts in the region said that the bridge could only be taken down if demolition crews promised they wouldn't blow it to smithereens with dynamite. But guess what? They did. And there's video. Nice. The rail company had been given the okay to destroy the bridge months earlier, but when it decided that dynamite was the best way to go about it, never sought new approval. So I guess, yeah, we won't do it, but then they did it anyway. It's interesting, but I guess it's messy, but it's such a short instance of destruction. And how are you going to take that bridge apart safely? I mean, it sucks that it was thrown, all the garbage was thrown down into the gorge. But as long as it's just rock, I know that there's some steel in there too, but there's no safe way to take that thing down. Look at that. That would, I don't know. Obviously I'm not a civil engineer, but the expense to tear that thing down would be tremendous. I'd be nervous as hell about that other span, though. Explosives going off right there, like the one that's right up at the top. Anyway, if you're listening to this via the podcast, you'll have to go and watch this video. Just follow the link through ohmTown. If you haven't done it, and you are in chat, you can hit !ODNS, and that'll pull up all of the articles that we're talking about. The link is in there. And don't forget, there are 6 other podcasts, and on top of it, the daily ohmTown Daily News Show, which again might be changing names really soon. Really soon. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over at Hatch Ideas. It has to do with Boeing for some reason. So I guess pulling out all the stops and pulling off the Band-Aid, Boeing, or at least a pilot, has decided they just don't give a shit. This is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. Boeing plane investigated after Dutch roll. So, Dutch roll. Boeing brand Dutch rolls are really good, I guess. Air regulators are investigating new issues with Boeing planes, but I don't know if that really has anything to do with it. Natalie Sherman over at BBC.com put this article together. U.S. regulators are investigating after a Boeing 737 MAX 8 flown by Southwest Airlines rocked side to side while in air, a potentially dangerous movement known as a Dutch roll. If this was an involuntary action, that's one thing. But that, I guess, is maybe the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of this issue. The company said it sourced the metal separately from its suppliers and believed a small number of parts had been affected, but this is in regards to the earlier article that we were talking about counterfeit titanium. But what does that have to do with this particular article? It's like they tacked two articles together in this. Anyway, a Dutch roll is when it bounces back and forth like that. Why they would do that? The definition of this, or it says it occurs when a plane is in flight. This is from the San Francisco Chronicle, by the way. Dutch rolls occur when a plane is in flight and oscillates or wobbles in a flight path due to unexpected asymmetric input, such as wind or pilot commands. The only time I've ever seen it is pilot commands. They're actually testing the plane to see if it can handle the stresses, and then they investigate the mounting points of the wings. It said tests performed so far indicate that the correct alloy was used despite the false documentation, but this article is different. Then they transition from the quality of the titanium to the so-called Dutch roll comment here halfway through the article. Said to have been named after ice skating technique attributed to the Netherlands, occurred on May 25th flight from Phoenix, Arizona to Oakland, California. Again, the FAA said the aircraft regained control and no one on board was injured, but the plane suffered substantial damage. A post-flight inspection of the 2-year-old plane revealed significant damage to a unit that powers backup power to the rudder. The Dutch roll can be unpleasant, but the 737 exhibits relatively benign characteristics. The time lapse since the incident and the absence of airworthiness action on the fleet suggests that this is a one-off, not another widespread problem for Boeing, according to Tim Atkinson, a former UK accident investor turned consultant. Yikes. So let's keep going. Got 3 more articles, including this one. The next article is over on the Mobile channel. The teenager who lived a secret double life as a millionaire crypto bandit. In May 2018, Daryl Marble was attending a cryptocurrency conference in New York City when he discovered that he had become a victim of a new and financially devastating form of crime. The first sign that something was amiss was when Marble, an executive producer for a streaming series, started having issues with his mobile phone. He couldn't connect to email or send a text. It wasn't until later that that night that he got back to his hotel room, logged into the Wi-Fi, and investigated further, that his worst fears were realized. His crypto wallet had been drained. That, by the way, don't log into hotel Wi-Fi. Bring your own hotspot. Protect yourself. When you log into somebody else's Wi-Fi, they're the ones with the keys, unless you use a VPN. And still, even then, depending on the quality of the VPN, I don't know. Just don't do it. So the article is over at Vice, and it's written by Vice staff. The text statement says Joel Ortiz, a socially isolated college student, stole millions of dollars in crypto by hijacking his victims' mobile phones. So this is interesting. They make it sound teenager, but it's a college student, I guess, 17, 18, 19, but for crying out loud, they make it, I don't know. They make it sound like it's a 12-year-old that's, hacking everybody, which is certainly doable, believe me. So they'd lost $100,000 of cryptocurrency instantly. Just remember thinking this can't be real. Marble called his wife in panic, feeling a sense of hopelessness and shame as he explained what happened. The money was gone. He could see it had been transferred into other people's wallets, but he couldn't tell who those wallets belonged to because the whole point of crypto is anonymity. Oh, and there is no insurance on this unless you get some aftermarket insurance, which would probably be through the roof. Yeah, so Marble didn't know it yet, but he was the victim of a new and growing form of cybercrime called SIM swapping that's been linked to huge crypto heists in which millions of dollars have been stolen. The technique involves a hacker tricking or bribing a cell phone carrier employee to redirect the victim's phone number to a different phone, giving the hacker access to all their calls and messages, allowing them to reset passwords and ultimately empty their accounts. There's supposed to be steps involved in protecting that kind of a thing. But SIM swapping, there was a guy that we actually talked about a couple of months ago, I think it was, where he just paid somebody from AT&T $1,000 and they did SIM swaps. So Ortiz, an isolated teen whose only social connections were online, would go on to splurge large amounts of money he stole from high-value crypto investors on a lavish luxury lifestyle, a world removed from his modest upbringing as the son of a disabled immigrant solo mother. So it says, Ortiz was a brainy guy, says Aaron West, deputy district attorney in Santa Clara County, California, where Ortiz would eventually be charged, becoming the first person sentenced for SIM swap offending in the U.S. And I know of others, people who are hackers extraordinary in the trade, that when they get caught, they turn state's evidence, they turn in everybody that's involved in their cohort and their whatever shenanigans, and then they go on tours and get paid. And well, the ones that I've heard have never denounced the hacking. So, but I do it. I tell you, if you hack and you get caught, it's instantly a federal crime. There isn't any like, hey, you know, the neighborhood watch is going to slap you on the wrist and you're going to be in trouble. No, it's instantly, you know, prison, sentencing, you know, trial, all that kind of stuff. You may never see a courtroom because you'll capitulate, but it's not nice. Anyway, Ortiz flaunted his new wealth on social media, buying Gucci outfits and designer goods and renting luxury mansions in Los Angeles to party in. 18-year-old kid just stole $5 million. What would you do with that money? Well, I wouldn't steal $5 million. If I did have the ability to get in, I'd probably expose the fact that, hey, I was able to get in. There's so much that people don't know until they're the victim of it. And it's not when, it's not if, I should say. It's not if you get hacked, it's when. At some point in your life, you'll get hacked. I had somebody buy a car in my name. I had somebody put me down as the father of their kid at a hospital. And then I started getting bills. Yeah. So anybody can do anything until they get caught. So as Mike Tyson said, you know, everybody has a plan until they're punched in the face. Not that I'm condoning violence, but this is kind of brutal, right? Tarazi and West said that when arrested, Ortiz showed them about $250,000 in cryptocurrency and had probably blown about the same amount in his excessive spending. There was a huge gap between what he could account for and what we knew he took. It was another just surreal moment, said Marble, who was returned $90,000 of the cryptocurrency. It was basically made whole right there. So he only lost $10,000 of it, which I find that fantastic. That's kind of amazing. So, yep. With a little bit of smarts, the person basically tried to steal $5 million, eventually got caught. And in the United States, you will get caught. And who knows? The punishment runs a pretty broad spectrum. Particularly if you capitulate and turn state's evidence and they find you worthy of doing something that knocks down your sentence. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough time. Anyway, let's keep going. We got two more articles and then we're done until 5 p.m. Eastern when we spin back up and do another ohmTown Daily News show. And then we've got 3 more shows right after that. So today, after ohmTown Daily News show is going to be Reality Hacker, then Wanted, then Warcrafters, and tomorrow on Sunday is ohmTown Daily News show. That's this show at 5 p.m. and then the Continuity Report, Technology Today, and Four Wheel Tech. But this article here is in ohmTown Daily. Tour de France loses trademark opposition to German gym chain. I titled this one Tour de German Gym Chain. Try to say that really fast. Tour de France loses trademark opposition to German gym chain. If you don't say Jane at the end of that. Okay, so the article's snippet here in ohmTown says, there seems to be a direct correlation between the size of a sports league or group and the degree to which that same entity will jealously, quote-unquote, protect anything to do with intellectual property. The International Olympic Committee is probably the apotheosis of this theory, though both FIFA and NFL are strong showings as well. Well, their much smaller cousin, the Société du Tour de France, is now making an appearance. Yep, hey, pick me. Having opposed the European trademark registration for a German gym chain's slogan, Tour de X. That phrase stems from the gym's name, Fit X. Unfortunately for the TDF, Tour de France people, they were denied the ability to trademark, I guess, Tour de. The C'est La Vie department, it houses Timothy Geiner for this particular article over at techdirt.com. They always come up with a really cool department. And it says the French company holds the right to the expression Tour de France or Le Tour de France for its goods and services. The Tour de France is a prestigious annual men's multi-stage bicycle race held primarily in France. Even that right there, just claiming that it's a men's multi-stage bicycle race, which it is by the design of Tour de France. In the 21st century, in today's modern society, you'd think that maybe they do something different, open it up to anybody, but hey, whatever. The Luxembourg-based General Court on Wednesday sided with the EU IPO and dismissed the Société des Tour de France's challenge. Quote, the public will not confuse the marks despite the identity or similarity of the goods and services. The only common element, the marks, Tour de, has a weak distinctive character, and the degree of similarity between the marks is low. So I guessed it right without reading the entire article or the finding from the IPO, that they're trying to, it's kind of like trying to trademark the word the, yet the Ohio State did it. Yeah. Tour de is, it's more of a partial sentence fragment, right? Or it is a sentence fragment. So I think it's kind of absurd. Anyway, the court went on to point out that Tour de itself is not only generic in nature, as well as being commonly used across all kinds of cycling and sports events, but is descriptive in nature. Put together, this opposition is a loser. So that right there, it's descriptive in nature. That is probably the fulcrum by which a lot of IP is pivoted to the defense of the mark instead of trying to stop somebody from getting it. Mainly because if you say something like, I want to trademark the sentence fragment white bread, it's too generic. It has really nothing to isolate yourself from competition. It's not like Coca-Cola or, the drink of champions. You can trademark that when you're branding around it continuously. But Tour de is just a sentence fragment. It's kind of absurd. But yeah, there you go. I think I should be a judge. I think I could be a good judge. All right, our last article for today is in the Mobile Channel. Greece is tired of all the cruise ships. There seems to be a lot of countries and locations that are getting really tired of tourists. This morning, for instance, we went somewhere and it was just inundated by tourists. And I was astonished by just how rude everybody was. Standing behind cars that have their backup lights on, and we're in the process of backing up. And yet there's like 12 people standing, just milling about behind this car that's jackknifed across the parking lot. Like, get the hell out of the way, you idiots. But nobody did anything. They just kept on having their conversations. One of the people had a stroller and moved it behind the vehicle in question. I was just flabbergasted. And the driver of the car was immensely tolerant. Like, they didn't roll down their window and say anything. They probably would have been mobbed by these people. I just imagine the person grabbing the stroller with the kid still in it and taking a swing at the car. Anyway, back to Greece. Greece is tired of all of the cruise ships. By the way, that little conversation there is part and parcel to why I'm considering changing the name of the show from ohmTown Daily News Show to something else. You'll have to follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube to witness the change. It'll be interesting, I think, and be more apropos for the context of the show. So Greece wants to reduce the number of cruise ships visiting its popular tourist destination. Really? Kyriakos Mitsotakis, the country's prime minister, said he will place caps on how many cruise ships can travel to Greek islands in the Aegean Sea, according to Bloomberg. This article is not from Bloomberg, it's from Quartz or QZ.com. Melvin Beckman is the author. And it says here, quote, "I think we'll do it next year." That's so arbitrary. I think we'll do it tomorrow. I guess it's as arbitrary as me changing the name of the show, but islands like Mykonos and Santorini, popular tourist destinations. This has a typo in it. Hey, Quartz, I caught a typo. Since the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic boosted tourism overall, more visitors than ever before have been seeking out the islands. The European Travel Information and Authorization System said last week that there were 120% more tourists. So when they say that, I'm going to have to follow this link and go and take a look at it, because I don't know what that actually means. Was there 20% more, or was there literally 120% more tourists than the previous quarter? So there's a subtle but distinct difference there. Not so subtle, actually. Anyway, during the first quarter of this year, then in 2019, even surpassing the high levels of the pre-pandemic period. Yeah, it's because everybody had held off. This is going to change. Give it time. You know, people have to worry about higher costs. They're still going and visiting all of this stuff. If you think that it's okay to hobble the amount of income that's generated by tourists in your locale, there must be a plurality of businesses there that are going, you know what? We need more business. We need more people. We need more tourists. Meanwhile, there are some that have been able to afford greater marketing or ties to, I don't know, the prime minister, for instance, or some department of marketing or ambassadorship or business or whatever within the country. And they're getting traffic driven to them, either because of their location or their affinity with the country or location. Hobbling the number of people that will come into your country on a tourist basis, not to live forever, not to work forever, not to quote unquote take jobs from the local population. No, they're coming to spend money, see your beautiful country, and then get the hell out of there. You know, it's like visiting the in-laws. Nice place to visit, but you don't want to stay there too long. Why? Because either they're going to piss you off or you're going to piss them off, and either way, you just, okay, we've been together a week, 2 weeks, I'll go back and come back in 6 months. Swing on by, we'll go to dinner. Anyway, Bloomberg reports that cruise ship traffic has increased so much that it's crowding out other tourist visits to the Aegean Islands. Those tourists might otherwise spend more money than cruise ship passengers who aren't booking hotel rooms and spending in other areas. Look, if there is a place to park your ship and let people out, they're going to spend money. If you're sitting there going, well, the only ones we want are the ones that are spending more than the poors, that's a shitty attitude. Anyway, that is the end of our Time Machine ohmTown Daily News Show. Next up at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Eastern, the Time Machine will have been turned off. I'm about to end the show, but we're going to hop in our cruise ship and pilot it down Main Street until we're back at the very top of the show. And that's it, folks. We are done for the ohmTown Daily News Show for June 14th, 2024. Hope to see you soon. The sentient AI is going to be available, hopefully, for all of the shows, but probably not today, starting at 5 p.m. We're going to do the ohmTown Daily News Show, Reality Hacker, Wanted, and Warcrafters. But that's it. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.